Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sponsors One channel. We're sitting here talking to Gary Bartholomew, executive chairman of the company. Just want to let you guys know what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing company updates, industry updates, and of course, introducing members of the team like Gary. So, Gary, how are you doing? Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, great. Nice to meet you, Michael. Thanks. Yeah, ready to talk. Let's do it.
All right, so let's just kind of paint a picture of your past experience for everybody. Let me know what else you were doing before joining Sponsors One. I see you've been working for a myriad of companies. So tell me about the man behind the madness. How are you handling so much work? What is your past experience?
Yeah, I mentored quite a few startup companies through my involvement at the University of Waterloo, and I tell the students that want to be an entrepreneur about what it's like. And I start off by saying, I had a job once, and realized I was unemployable, and I needed to dive in. This was literally right after I graduated from university. I had a job,
Hmm.
didn't last. Not that it didn't last, it just wasn't for me. Jumped in to start my own company, and I remember the CEO of the company saying, "Well, what are you going to do if you're leaving us, which is a nice paying job? You got a management position right out of university. What are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't know. What do you need to know that for?" And I'm just going to start a company. That's how I started. So
Yeah.
that's an entrepreneur, and so I did, and 12 companies later, 6 public company exits, all technology based. Been through the battles, been through the wins, the losses. It's a lot of learning along the way, and I got involved when it helped create the Masters in Business and Entrepreneurship program at the University of Waterloo,
Hmm.
where I mentor startup companies and entrepreneurs. That's now in its 15th or 16th year. So been at that a long time, and watch that whole Waterloo ecosystem grow, where Sponsor One grew from. And and so there we are, a public company, private company experience, raised hundreds of millions of dollars, went into asset management and venture capital for a while, managed up to, I think, one point we're about $1 billion in capital,
Oh,
and then shifted back to what I call Internet 3.0, focused investment, that was around 2012. And that's was when I saw the emergence of blockchain, big data, AI. And I said that industry disruption is going to happen at every level. Of course, we didn't predict COVID coming along, and what COVID managed to do was to basically break apart industries that were resisting, digital transformation in a big way. Healthcare, you know, even the distribution business, e-commerce business, that sort of thing. It's traditional everything apart. And now we have a multi-dimensional wave of opportunity in front of us for, emerging businesses. And, I did not see that coming in 2012. So I do have to admit that part. But, I was deep into, what decentralization is going to look like, and the democratization of everything. And that's where Sponsor One, really plays in. So that's my background, and where I'm at today.
well, yeah, you play into that old adage that entrepreneurs are pretty unemployable, right? And yeah, I felt that same way. Largely from you see a business, you work with it, you get the inner workings, and you're like, hey guys, I think we could make some key changes here and there. And they're saying, why are you doing this? Why don't you just do your job? It doesn't really work out when you're trying to do any sort of leadership, but people really just want you to work. So yeah, you have the entrepreneurial spirit really alive, and then you've apparently a visionary too, because if you were in the blockchain that early, you knew things were coming. And for most people, they had no idea the blockchain was going to be serious. I think back in that time, a lot of people were just looking at Bitcoin as the Silk Road mediator, right? They thought it was just a currency for criminals. They didn't understand all the applications blockchain could really bring into play. So it's really interesting that you saw that, and you saw the internet forming in its new form, where almost everything is done over the internet and very decentralized. Yeah, as you said, COVID really pushed that all the way through, right? It was the forced change, which is interesting because it showed the change was ready to happen, but it was kind of like our habits and human nature kind of stopping it from getting to where it needed to be. And now here we are. everyone's talking over Zoom as we are now. And so tell me how exactly you became the chairman of Sponsor One.
Yeah, so that's another interesting story. So back in, when I was a kid, I used to race motocross. With my, so it's sort of, I like the extreme side of living, I guess, even on entrepreneurship side. So my son, he got into it at a very young age. Miles, who's the CEO of the company, and he came to me back in, it was 2006. He was racing, very high level motocross. He was quite young. He might have been, I think he was 14.
Oh,
He
okay.
came to me and said, all my buddies are getting hurt out here. They don't have money to race in the sport. They love it. Is there anything we can do to help them? And I said, well, why don't we bring the sponsors in, like the manufacturers of helmets and gear and bike parts and whatever, and we'll get these kids, which are amateur racers, wearing the gear, talking about it to their friends, and influencing their friends to go and buy it from these brands. Okay, that was 2006. There was no such thing as an influencer back in those days.
True.
But we launched influencer marketing trackside in 2006, and the 30 brands we brought in all became major market share brands in the sport of motocross that we represented. Very effective, and even the brands were saying to us back in 06, this is the most effective way of marketing. It just doesn't scale. Like, we can't be at every event and so on and so on, but the racers are. So if we can enable them to market, we'll give them 50% discount on product. We'll provide cash incentives, et cetera, et cetera. So that was how Sponsor One got started back in the day. It was called MXN Nation.
Wow.
And then social media, as it evolved, the major brands came to us and said, can you go online and scale this up to everybody? So we started building the online platform, and it was changing so fast. So every time we went to launch, we had a major structural problem in the industry. So for instance, we put the whole thing online. The brands, the racers could connect directly with the brands. We were ready to turn it on, and the major distribution channels came to the brands and said, if you do this, we're dropping you as a distributor, and you're talking $100 million of revenue flowing through these distribution channels. So there was major conflict around the direct consumer market back then. There was no Shopify or anything like that. So, so we said, well, look, why don't we implement the platform so that they can market direct, the brand can market direct, but the order gets fulfilled in the retail channel. So we create a network of retailers and their inventory, and we put up a bid market where the racer's order can be bid on by any retailer that has inventory on the brand's product. And I thought that was great. And then we're getting set to launch that. And then there was another big shift in the marketplace where online all of a sudden kicked in, and all that work we didn't need. So we're back to online. And then the influencer market started in about 2012, like legitimate with the big major celebrities coming on as influencers, big money being made. We stuck to our strategy. We said, this isn't where the future is. The future is where anybody can be an influencer, and anybody can get involved with a brand, and anybody can connect to that brand and be part of the brand's community. So we stayed focused on building a platform that really can support the average person with 5 followers and make them relevant. And so that's where the Sponsor One evolved. And then we started bringing brands on. That was in 2017, 18. Started, making small brands big was our motto. So we started bringing small brands, but they were failing like crazy. They didn't have enough capital. Their margins were too thin, couldn't support the overall strategy. And what we discovered was that all these small brands were just putting their label on somebody else's product anyways, whether they're buying it in China
that's
or
common.
manufacturing it locally. So we said, I think we should pivot to actually creating our own brands. And that was 2019. We bought a company, it didn't go so well, and we shut that down. But what we did learn a lot was what it means to create our own brand and put a label on it. So we put a team together. We acquired in 2020 Premier Beverage Consortium, which is in the alcohol space. So we looked at what space do we want to be in? Well, alcohol and CBD. Those are like the two fastest growing, highest margin. These are great markets. Okay, what's available, where should we enter? The ready to drink market, but the premium market, not the malt fermented sugar market that the RTD drinks, but real high quality spirits mixed with really high quality like lemonade and other products. Let's launch in the premier market. And that's where Doc Wilders came out of, our recent announcement. And it is just a huge success. It's amazing to be able to roll out with your first product and hit not just a home run, but a grand slam right out of the gate. And so that worked. Now there are a lot of pains in launching. Now we got to work with manufacturers, supply chain, and that we're a tech company, so that's creating a lot of things. So I took the chairman role really from day one in 2006 when my son said, help me build the company. And he focused on the technology and the influencer side. I pulled in the brands. And then as we moved into the public domain and raised more capital and kept raising capital as a development stage company, I still remain active in helping oversee the strategy and execution of the company on behalf of the shareholders and help what is a very rapidly moving business right now hold itself together while it's scaling straight up at the moment. So it's got a new set of challenges at the moment, and I'm up for that. I've created companies where we started with a PowerPoint and myself and another founder, and within 18 months we have 850 employees and $1 billion market cap. Wow. and heading to profitability. So I've done that before. So I'm confident, not only do we have the right team in place here to scale it up, but, we've got a mixture of talent in this company, from capital markets to, distilling alcohol, and packaging and consumer packaged goods and distribution and retail and technology. So when you pull it all together, Sponsor One is what I would say is the next generation of brand building. It's the digital creation, the digital delivery, and the digital success of how do you get a brand created by the crowd, for the crowd, and is growing by the crowd. Like I say, it's the decentralization of brand creation. And that's what we're trying to bring to market and disrupt the traditional markets today.
Oh, all right, Gary, man. Okay. So you definitely seem like you're on the visionary level here, because like you said, you were doing the influencer stuff before the influencer market really kicked in. And it's interesting to see those friction growing pains as you guys grew and you've adapted and evolved throughout the years getting into the industry. It's really interesting to see the father-son relationship there too. And that you see the strong, you see the same entrepreneurial spirit in your son that you had.
Yeah, so we still have a relationship. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's gotta be a really prideful thing to have, man. Be like, oh, dude, it's in him too. It's definitely coming out with him.
Well, it's a challenge. You've got to separate, sort of personal family stuff from business.
True.
You've got a pressure cooker of a business right now that's growing the way it is. So, but we've managed over the years. We've been at this a long time together. We've managed and we have a great relationship. So that's important too.
Good. Well, Gary, thank you for coming on and sharing this about yourself and kind of the origins of the company stepping up there. If anyone has any questions about any of that, please send them over to us. We'll be happy to answer them. Gary, do you have any parting words for everybody?
No, I would say just, Sponsor One it's made its pivot. It was a painful 2020 for us during that pivot, but 2021 now the products are shipping now, and Doc Wilders is a home run. So we're really proud to have sort of got through this, launched the winner right out of the gate, and now as all the parts come together, we're going to watch, this company transform itself. I mean, there's a lot of transformation ahead as we scale, but we got the right team now to pull this business plan off, and we're pretty happy with what we see. So, thank you.
Good, good. And we'll dive into the products on another video. So everyone stay tuned. We'll get lots more out there for you. Gary, again, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, thank you for watching.
Thanks, Michael.